Hey guys, it's a little bit into September and I want to do another little fun countdown with the best and the worst movies of summer. And so the only movies I'm considering are the movies released anywhere from May to August in 2015 for USA. Because quite likely some of these films were released on different dates for different countries. Also, these are not my top 15 movies currently, they're just my favorite movies from summer. So let's just give a little shout out to a few other movies that got 4 stars from me that didn't quite make the top 15 of the summer, and those movies are Spy, American Ultra, Tomorrowland, Selfless, and No Escape. So my number 15 for the summer movies of 2015 is Cop Car. And yes, I have not done a review for it yet. I have seen the film, that's why it's on my list. But hopefully I'll get to a review soon. I'm not going to talk too much about it because hopefully I'll go into greater detail in upcoming review. My number 14 is a sequel to one of my favorite horror movie franchise, Insidious Chapter 3. Ultimately, I gave this movie 4 stars. I like it a little bit more than Insidious Chapter 2, which I still really enjoyed. And it's nowhere near as awesome as the first Insidious, but it's still creepy. It still has some great atmosphere. There's a lot of really good character development and a lot of good acting. I think this is the best acted, and quite frankly, I'm glad that the writer directed this one because he did a phenomenal job. Number 13 is Straight Outta Compton. I just reviewed this not too long ago. It's still getting a few views. Ultimately, it is your stereotypical biopic of a musical band or group or whatever you want to call it. But despite it being 2.5 hours long and cliched biopic, it felt like it passed by so quickly that they could have tacked in another 30 minutes and I still wouldn't have been bored and I wouldn't have felt like I'd been there for a long time. They got all the right actors for it and everyone gets enough screen time. It is pretty amazing. Now, number 12 is a movie that I quite frankly laughed the most so far this year. It's been the funniest movie I have seen this year so far. It is Ted 2. And yeah, it's maybe not as good as the first Ted, and there's plenty of people that didn't like this movie. It's some of the same old jokes and stuff, but I don't know. I couldn't stop laughing throughout this entire movie, and it is the funniest movie I've seen this year. Number 11 is a movie that is another sequel to a franchise that I adore, and I've never disliked any of these movies from this franchise yet. And it's a really fun, really good, solid sequel. It is Jurassic World. Now, I'm not saying it's as great and epic as Jurassic Park, and I might actually not like it as much as Lost World, quite frankly. But I really think it's a solid, great action movie. It's a bit of a horror movie. Unfortunately, the trailers gave away too much, but I can't knock the film down a few stars just because the trailer ruined it for everyone. Okay, my number 10 is the Pixar animated film Inside Out. Now, I think out of the 15 Pixar films that have been made, I think Inside Out was either my number 9 or my number 8. So it's still pretty far down there compared to all the other Pixar films, but it's still an excellent Pixar film and it's way better than the last couple films they've been throwing out. It's entertaining, it has a lot of great ideas with emotions, it has a great message to it. Unfortunately, one of the little flaws I didn't like too much about it was the girl felt more like a robot than rather a person, and it felt like it almost felt like Pacific Rim. The emotions were controlling this giant robot, you know. Number 9 is the new Mission Impossible film, Rogue Nation, and I like Ghost Protocol so far the best. I have not seen all of the first Mission Impossible, and I've yet to see number 3, which I really have to because I am a big fan of J.J. Abrams. But for me, Ghost Protocol is still my favorite one, and while Rogue Nation was fun, it was action-packed, it has some really great scenes and felt the most espionage-like Mission Impossible film that I've seen, it's still not as great as Ghost Protocol for me. Number 8 is actually a film I had just seen today, but I haven't reviewed it yet because it's number 3 on the list of the movies I still have to review. It is Shaun the Sheep. I was highly surprised by this film. I knew I would like it, but I didn't realize I would like it this much. I'm not going to tell you too much about it because I'm going to go into detail for the movie review. My number 7 is still a bit of a disappointing movie, but nonetheless I still had fun with it. It's still a good movie in my opinion, and I know a lot of people hated it, but my number 7 is Avengers Age of Ultron. I liked it. It still had the feel of Avengers. It still had a focus on all the individual team members, and Hawkeye got a little bit more focus than he did in the first one. I think the only problem with me is it felt like there was quite a few things missing from Age of Ultron. It felt like if it had a few more scenes, if it had been about 30 minutes or 40 minutes longer, maybe it would have felt more complete. My number 6 is Dope. I had a really fun time with it. I thought it was funny and it was a good drama as well. And it's not funny in the way of good one-liners and just being haha that's really funny. It's more along the lines of funny because of the situations that these people get into and all the crazy things that happen in the movie. Good acting, funny, heartfelt, awesome message. I love Dope. Number 5 is the only other indie film that beats Dope that has a very similar sort of style. I mean, it's not really similar style, but it's a coming-of-age story as well, and it's typical of indie films. My number 5 is Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. I felt that I can connect with the main character a little more than some of the other main characters in all the other movies this year. It was quirky, it had a uniqueness to it, and I love the little spoof parody films that they make. My number 4 is probably the funniest Marvel movie that I've seen so far. It is Ant-Man, and while it's not perfect, I love the comedy, I love the acting, I love the characters, and I loved how it was a bit of a smaller movie. It needed to be smaller because he was a shrinking superhero. And the small scale really helped this movie in my opinion, and I loved all the shrinking and the perspectives of when he's shrunken and all the world around him. It was epic and it was cool. And with my top 3 summer movies of 2015, I am going into 3 of the 6 movies that I've ultimately given 5 stars to. My number 3 is The Gift. This film might be the lowest on my films that I've given 5 stars to this year, but it is still great. I love Jason Bateman and all the other characters. It was a great slow-paced thriller that hooks you in with a sort of stalker-type thriller, but then turns into a great drama and a bit of a mind game sort of thing. It's all about facing your past and dealing with the things that you've done in the past that come back to haunt you and screw you in the end. My number 2 summer film is Slow West. And it's a good western. It is slow-paced, but there's enough random violence throughout. It has a lot of great things to it. There's a lot of little comedic moments, and there's just something about Slow West that I just can't help but love. And of course, my number 1 summer film of 2015 is still, yet again, my favorite film of 2015 so far. It is Mad Max Fury Road, and I'm not really going to say too much else about it. I've had a movie review of it. I've had it in my top 15 films so far this year. I've already said a lot about it. Just know it's a simple story that has a lot of great background, a lot of great visual tells audience can pick out and piece together to have their own interpretations to it. Plus, it's badass, it's epic, and both our heroes are amazing at it. And honestly, there's 3 character arcs throughout the movie. There might even be more. Last time I saw it, I saw a little bit more character arcs with the other wives as well. It's a lot more complex than you might think for a simple action film. Okay, I have not seen every single summer movie of 2015, but out of the ones that I have seen, those are my top 15. I hope you enjoyed, and leave a comment. Tell me what is your favorite movies of the summer of 2015. And as always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.